Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have an exciting video for you today. It's probably like disproportionately exciting to other things in life, but let me just geek out for a moment in this video. But have you ever wondered if you could actually like look up and confirm whether or not a Bath & Body Works candle was actually a repackage of a previous candle? I think you finally can. So I stumbled upon this a few days ago, and I've been on Instagram Live with my fellow Repackage committee members. I think Sneeko the Diva, check her out on Instagram and on YouTube, was the first one who started using that term of Repackage committee. But we have kind of proudly taken that Repackage committee name and applied it to us who are very staunch candle police, or I guess repackage sleuths or detectives who it's a lot of us OG members who've been with Bath & Body Works for a long time, where you keep track of fragrances, whether or not they're repackages. So if you don't know, Bath & Body Works repackages fragrances all the time. I believe they're a publicly traded company, so they are in the business to make money and profit. Hello, it makes sense. So when they come up with a fragrance, they will often give it multiple names to see which name will actually resonate with the customer the most and therefore sells the best. So they might have a fragrance and they might rename it one name, another name, or another name, just to see what works well in the market. And so for us loyalists and OGs who have been with Bath & Body Works for a while, it's kind of deceptive and also disappointing that there's something that you might think is a new fragrance because that's a new name, but when you go into the store and smell it, or if you place a blind order online, you smell it and then you realize it's a fragrance that you already had before, and it's just really deflating and kind of annoying and quite deceptive that they do that. But I 100% understand why they do that. They're a business and it's to make the money. The average consumer out there doesn't care if something's repackaged or not. They just pick up the candle, smell it. If it smells good, they move on with their life. They light their candles in the background while they go on with the rest of their life. Not everyone is a candle nerd like I am, or the rest of us in the Repackage committee, where we're studying these fragrances as an active passion and hobby. That is just simply not the case. We're a very, very, very small vocal minority who complains about repackages. I completely understand why they do it, and I understand the average consumer doesn't actually really care about it. But there are some of us who are, hardcore enthusiasts of Bath & Body Works that we do enjoy tracking down the repackages. And it's very, very helpful to the other fellow people out there who do care about whether or not something's a repackage, because let's say you fall in love with a fragrance and you didn't know it came back. If you were able to locate what that repackage name is, you might be able to go into the store again and get it again and be reunited with your favorite fragrance. But it's also good from a review or cost saving standpoint, in the sense that, let's say you buy a candle with something that's supposed to be a new fragrance and a new name, but if you saw a review calling out that it was indeed actually a repackage of previous fragrance if you already owned before, then you wouldn't have to waste your money on buying that candle for a second time again and having to do blind orders online and pay for shipping and get it to you. And even more so, I get a lot of messages from international people who have to pay an arm and a leg to actually obtain the candle from third-party markets to have the candle shipped all the way over to their international location or their country. And I've got messages from people who are thank you so much for your reviews, because you actually call out when something's a repackage and can identify it, so then I don't waste my money, another 30, 40, 50 bucks with shipping, buying a candle that I've already owned before. So there's nothing more aggravating or annoying than buying a candle that's already been out once before, and you're kind of deceived or duped into buying it again because it has a new name and a new set of notes. So that's kind of why I am I've just been in the candle community on this channel for over 10 years at this point. So that's why I'm such a staunch vocal person about repackages, is because I just don't want the consumer to feel duped. My loyalty is almost to a fault to the viewers rather than to any company. So that's why I like calling out repackages. And it's also just a really fun game of sleuthing and playing detective and matching them up. So that is the background on repackages at Bath & Body Works. So there was somebody in the live who said it so perfectly. They're we were sick of being gaslit from Bath & Body Works, which is so true, because there's nothing more frustrating than thinking that something is this way, but then the other party will not admit to it, or will, gaslight you in so many words, to, thinking that it's not that. So it's so validating and vindicating and satisfying to finally have a tool that kind of hints and some kind of evidence or actual empirical data that lends to whether or not something is truly a repackage or not. So the impetus for this video was, there was a thread on Reddit where somebody was saying Campsite coffee is not the same as Paris Cafe, and I simply could not get on board with that. And I was just no, I've had Paris Cafe and Campsite coffee before, and I was they both smell the same. I burned both of them. One says vanilla ice cream and the other one says vanilla creme, but they're the same fragrance and they perform the same and everything. And I was I don't know about that. So if you don't know, there's a tool on bathandbodyworks.com. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's a a link on desktop that says product ingredients on it. When you go to product ingredients, it opens up a new page, which is a searchable database of all their home fragrance products from like the past so many years. It doesn't go back really far into like the older candles. I would say maybe like the past 5 years or so it goes back to. But some of the older candles are kind of hard to find. But a lot of the majority of their candles from the recent years are searchable on that database. And it's a database that exists because you're able to see what ingredients are in every single product. And to every product, there is a ILN, which is the ingredients list number assigned to every single product. So when like there's a certain candle made with that specific fragrance and that wax color and everything, I believe they assign a ILN to it. It does say that an ILN identifies a specific product formula, but it says please note that a single fragrance may have multiple ILNs. So that means that there's there could be spiced apple toddy or whipped coffee that has multiple ILNs for whatever reason. Maybe they tweaked it from year to year, or there's a different wax color in it. We've kind of deducted that the wax color also changes the ILN on it. Possibly maybe with a wicks change. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, this is all theorizing and speculating, but the ILN is assigned to every single product. So what happens is you can actually search all the candles in the database. And so what I did was I searched coffee, and I noticed, I was like, there's an ILN on every single one of these. And I was like, let me just like compare and contrast these ILNs to all the other ones that I suspect are repackages. And lo and behold, Campsite Coffee and Paris Cafe both had the same ILN on it. I was like, okay, that's like pretty good evidence that those are indeed the same fragrance, because why would they have the same ILN unless they weren't the same fragrance and same product formula, if that makes sense? And then so I cross-referenced that with Coffee and Tonka, which I also suspected was a repackage of Paris Cafe, and sure enough, that was also a repackage. So I was like, I think this might actually be a way to actually confirm directly from the source, from Bath & Body Works, whether or not something's a repackage. So I started doing stuff. So I started comparing things like Paradise Cove and Flannel, which Paradise Cove was like the summer version of Flannel. Those actually have two different ILN numbers, but that's not to say that they aren't repackages, because one fragrance can have multiple ILNs. So like Spiced Apple Toddy can have multiple ILNs, even though it says Spiced Apple Toddy on it. So you can confirm with something's a repackage, but you can't necessarily disprove if something is not a repackage, because one fragrance can have multiple ILNs, and if it has different wax colors or what have you, if they change it a little bit, then in that event, they might have different ILNs. So you can confirm things, but you can't necessarily disprove things, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the gist of this whole like repackage thing. You can actually like search for like two candles that you think are repackages, and if you compare and contrast the ILNs, you can then kind of like confirm whether or not something's a repackage. Another thing we discovered, shout out to House of Harlow on my Instagram lives, where we were going through, I think it was a total of 5 hours where we all like put our heads together to try to come up with every like possible repackage. And so in the second half of this video, I have a list of over 50 repackage combinations that I will go through in case you're curious what all the repackages were that we found in our findings of the repackage committee meetings. But House of Harlow was saying it's actually in the recent Candles 2021 forward. There's actually, I don't know if that'll focus or not, but right there, the actual ILN is printed on the bottom of the label. So you can theoretically go into the store, and if you suspect something is a repackage and it happens to be like 2 candles out at the same time in the store at once, you can actually kind of compare and contrast to see whether or not the ILNs match up. And if they do, it's a good, like, it's very good evidence that it is indeed a repackage. If they have 2 different ILN numbers, it's either A, not a repackage, or it's because, for whatever reason, they slightly tweaked the formula, so even though it smells the same, it might still give 2 different ILN numbers on it. So that's another way to check it. It's also beneficial because what you can do is sometimes there will be products that show up in the database prior to them actually being physically in the store. So if you suspect something coming is a repackage of something, you can look up the ILN in the database before you even go into the store, and then compare that to something that you suspect is a repackage, and if it's a match, you can actually figure out that they are indeed a repackage. So it's kind of cool because you can actually, we have like at least finally a tool to be able to figure out if something's a repackage or not. And I think this is so like exciting or illuminating, especially for me who's been in the, reviewing business for 10 years at this point, over 10 years. Is that it's always been like kind of like a subjective thing where it's kind of like, okay, fragrances are subjective, so you might smell one thing and you might smell the other. But there have been so many instances where I'm like, no, like this is a fact that this is the same exact candle as the other one, but there's no way to confirm it, and you can't go to BBW and they won't confirm it. And so it's like so satisfying and so vindicating and so validating to finally like have some kind of evidence that 2 fragrances are indeed repackages. So that is the gist of this whole repackage discussion. discovery. Once again, this is all theory and speculating. I mean, it kind of makes sense from what we were like theorizing in our live meetings, but you know, there could be some major point that we are missing. If you are like a Bath & Body Works representative or some kind of fragrance chemist and knows what ILNs are, let us know if there's a hole in my theory. But it kind of worked for like everything that we thought was a repackage. Sure enough, when you compare and contrast it, it has matching ILN numbers. So it's just so satisfying to finally get some confirmation from the actual company itself that these are repackages and stop being gaslit from BBW. So with that out of all the way, let me actually go through the entire list of fragrances that we've found in our repackage committee meetings. So these are in no particular order, and I will also put this list in the description down below, just so you can reference it at any time as a text format, rather than having to sift through this video every single time. But I kind of just, because this is like my comprehensive video on the repackages, I just want to go through every single one of them and comment on them as well. So pumpkin pie and pumpkin vanilla creme indeed had the matching ILN numbers. I think at one point we were like wondering if pumpkin pie had a little bit more of a crust note than pumpkin vanilla creme, but I always thought they were the same fragrance, and that was also confirmed. Of course, the impetus for all of this, Paris Cafe, which is that bold roasty coffee fragrance that all of us, not all of us, but many of us love. Some people actually hate it. That is actually indeed confirmed to be the same ILN as coffee and Tonka, and Campsite Coffee as well. Midnight Blue Citrus and Snowflakes and Citrus was also confirmed to have the same number. Cranberry Peach is the same as Snowy Peach Berry. That was a match. Texas Pecan Pie, and then it became, or was it Sugared Pecan Pie first, and then it was Texas Pecan Pie? That was a match. Another shout out to House of Harlow. The Toasted Coconut Eclair, which was out, I believe, last year, was a match with Toasted Coconut S'mores, which came out first, and then also the failed test scent of Toasted Coconut Cookie. All three of those had a match on the ILN. Ocean Driftwood, Mahogany Teakwood, and Black Teakwood. Forever and ever, I have always thought Ocean Driftwood and Mahogany Teakwood was the same freaking fragrance, but people will be like, oh no, Ocean Driftwood is like the summery version. And I'm like, I don't know, I think they smell the same. And sure enough, all three of those were a match. We have Rainforest Gardenia, Seaside Gardenia, and White Gardenia. Those were all a match. Limoncello and Sugar Lemon Zest were all a match as well. Frosted Moscow Mule to Champagne Margarita, those were a match as well. Blueberry Lavender Lemonade, which I believe was the test fragrance, and then it came out wide as Blueberry Lavender Spritzer. Those matched as well. The next one, interesting, Pepper Plum, which was in the geometric wraparound packaging in that test collection just this past year, is a match for the new Desert Sunset fragrance that's out in stores right now. Smoked Vanilla first came out, and I always thought that was the same as Smoked Vanilla Whiskey, but people were saying that they got like a whiskey fragrance to it, and I was like, I don't know, I think it's the same, and so that was indeed a match. So Smoked Vanilla and Smoked Vanilla Whiskey had the same ILN. Sprinkled Birthday Cake is indeed the same match as Champagne Cupcake, which is the new Valentine's Day fragrance that's in stores right now. I smelled that in store and I was like, this is just Sprinkled Birthday Cake. I don't get a champagne note. And like Sprinkled Birthday Cake had made no mention of an effervescent champagne note, and sure enough, those did match up. Also, another super interesting one. This was again House of Harlow's find. He found that the Pistachio Cream Puff was a candle that was supposed to come out last spring when like Prosecco and Peaches came out and Lavender Marshmallow came out. In that collection, there was supposed to be a Pistachio Cream Puff, we believe, but for whatever reason, it didn't make it to production. That actually ended up having the same ILN and match as the Pistachio and Toasted Vanilla that just came out for post Candle Day recently. So we were all like chomping at the bit to get Pistachio Cream Puff, and we were so excited to get it, but it never surfaced, and we were really bummed about it. It's super satisfying to know that Pistachio and Toasted Vanilla would be the same fragrance as Pistachio Cream Puff if you couldn't get that. I believe the hand soap of that came out, and people were saying, no wonder I love the candle so much, I also love the hand soap. So if you were wanting Pistachio Cream Puff, there was at least confirmation from the ILN front that Pistachio and Toasted Vanilla was the same. Of course, we suspected this forever. Market Peach and Georgia Peach were a match as well. This one, I was like, I just know raspberries and whipped vanilla is definitely unicorn sprinkles, and that was a match as well. There was also a test wallflower called Rose Petals and Linen, and that was a match for the Rain Kiss Petals wallflower that came out afterwards, so that was a match as well. I think Rose Petals and Linen also came out as a single wick tester as well. Shout out to Fotini on Instagram. Thank you so much. This was like one of the most mind-blowing ones. It's vintage and Dark Amber and Oud are a repackage. And I was like, oh my god, how did I not put those two and two together? But it makes sense. So Dark Amber and Oud came out of the Neutrals collection originally, and it's been out repackaged again in that Oud test collection, and then again in the current spring Neutrals lineup. Is the same fragrance as Vintage, which was the men's body care fragrance that came into stores, but the candle, I believe, was an online exclusive. And silly me, I paid shipping and ordered Vintage as an online exclusive candle online. I got it and I was like, ooh, I really don't like this. I burned it once, it was so strong, and I just did not care for it that I returned it. But I do still have the Vintage shower gel, and sure enough, I compare that to the Dark Amber and Oud candle in store, and I was like, wow, these are truly the same. So it's instances like that are so like deceptive, because it's like Dark Amber and Oud is so readily available in store, and I didn't like it and I didn't buy it. But Vintage I bought because it was an online exclusive, and lo and behold, it's a repackage. So I was like, So that one was another mind-blowing one. So thank you to Fotini on that. Sunlit Cashmere was the same as Sea Island Blossom. Merci Paris, which was Merci Paris originally when Paris Cafe first came out, but then it also got repackaged as a thank you quotable candle, was the same as Wisteria Garden. Hot Fudge Sundae and Chocolate Lava Cake were also confirmed to be repackages as well, according to the ILN theory. People were saying that Chocolate Lava Cake maybe had like a slight more bakery note, but I was like, I don't know, this smells just like Hot Fudge Sundae, because I owned both of those and I burned both of those. And Chocolate Lava Cake was so similar to Hot Fudge Sundae that I returned it and exchanged it, but those had a match too, so that was exciting. Vanilla Noir and Lavender, which is the Wallflower that came out for this current SAS, is indeed a match for Ice Vanilla Woods, which was also called Peace at one point. This one was so exciting. Gosh, I wish I remember who found this in the repackage committee meeting. I'm sorry, I don't remember who this was. But they confirmed that 'Twas the Night Before Christmas and Hometown Sugar Cookies are repackages as well. I was like, I knew it. I smelled like that like weird warm milky note in 'Twas the Night Before Christmas that was so present in Hometown Sugar Cookies. So Hometown Sugar Cookies came out fall 2022, and then 'Twas the Night Before Christmas came out winter 2022. So they do back-to-back repackagings to see which one performs better, and so that was confirmed as well. Island Reef and Frozen Lake were also confirmed. Peach on Earth and White Woods and Peach. So Peach on Earth came out a few times, and then it came out in the Neutrals collection as White Woods and Peach just very recently, and those were the same. It's just funny like how in the Neutrals one it's called White Woods and Peach, so you think it's like a woodsy fragrance, but Peach on Earth is like just a fun cutesy fragrance, and we just thought it smelled like a cinnamon peach dessert. It's just crazy how they stretch the marketing of the naming on it. We also have Vanilla Bean. Well, actually, Vanilla Bean Marshmallow came out first, then Vanilla Bean, and then Marshmallow Fluff from the Easter collection. All three of those were a match in the database as well. Another one, Pumpkin Caramel Swirl to Cinnamon Caramel Swirl. I was like, I always knew this one too, but you think there's maybe a little bit more pumpkin in the pumpkin version. But Cinnamon Caramel Swirl and Pumpkin Caramel Swirl, or Caramel Pumpkin Swirl, whatever it's named, were a match as well. Balsam and Birch from the like Evergreen Test collection. That showed up online for a hot moment as well, was indeed a confirmed match too. White Balsam in Vanilla, we suspected that, so it was satisfying to get that. Banana Cabana and Tropical Cabana were also a match. Suntan and The Perfect Summer, that's not a shocker because when The Perfect Summer used to come out, I think it actually said Suntan in parentheses. Those were a match as well. We also have Aloha Kiwi Passion Fruit being a match to Kiwi Passion Fruit as well as Rainforest Passion Fruit. Sometimes like people will be like, oh, it has the word Aloha in it, so I feel like this one smells a little bit more Aloha-y, but according to the database, those were all three a match. Thank you so much to Slice Alcedo on Instagram as well. Called out this one. I remember. I knew, but I had to escape my memory. Peach Poppy being the same as the Island Margarita, and it's just like what I vividly remember smelling Peach Poppy in the store, and I was like, I can't believe this is Island Margarita, but like I had completely forgotten about it. So it's so funny to get refreshed on that. But yeah, like how do you go from Island Margarita to something that's supposed to be like a peach poppy floral fragrance? Like just craziness. But that was finally confirmed, which was exciting. Lavender Coconut and Lavender Sea were also the same. Honeysuckle and Honeysuckle Bouquet. French Lavender and Lavender. Black Chamomile and Chamomile. I think that one was Guadamami, I think was her name on Instagram. Thank you so much. Mango Coconut, which was Mango Coconut Cooler, was confirmed to be the same ILN as Mango Shores as well. Almond and Almond Blossom. There was an almond that was in the Elements collection, and then Almond Blossom comes off as a online exclusive in the later years. Those were a match too. We also have Pineapple Mango being same as Pineapple Mango Spritz, which I think was a single wick very recently. First Frost and Pepper Suede were also a match. We have Toasted S'mores and Bonfire S'mores also being a match. Lakeside Sunrise and Bergamot Waters. And then we also have Pure White Cotton and Linen Sheets. We also have a Wicked Apple and Caramel Apple. So this one's kind of confusing because there was an old OG Slacking Caramel Apple, which is not the same as the current day Caramel Apple, but then Wicked Apple is the Halloween version, and some people weren't sure if that was the same or not. Those had a match on ILN as well. Casablanca Lily is the same as the Happy Easter Lily candle. I think that was also Guadamami, I think was the one who said that, so thank you for that. The Banana Nut Muffin candle from that Quarantine 2020 online exclusive, like flash in a pan bakery collection that we had for like a hot 5 minutes online. That was indeed confirmed to be the same as Banana Walnut Muffin that is out now. It was an online exclusive, I think, last fall, but has been out in stores a few years before that. Satisfying to find this one too. Friggin' Candy Hearts and Pink Fairy Gumdrop were a match as well. And then lastly, crazy, this is also another Hearts of Harlow find. Merry Maple Bourbon and Caramel and Oud were matches as well, which when you smell the two side by side, they're exactly the same. But it's crazy that Merry Maple Bourbon comes out as this cute, fun, like it had like a cupcake with like frosting on it as like the little icon. Was Merry Maple Bourbon is a repackage of the failed test scent, which is Caramel and Oud in that very sleek black packaging. So it's crazy how they went from something that's supposed to be a sophisticated oud wood fragrance, Caramel Oud, and it went to frilly cutesy Merry Maple Bourbon. That's what made it wide. So once again, just the disparity in the marketing is just crazy. So those were the actual, that was actually 50 exactly list of confirmed repackages combos on this list, which I will put in the description below. I think this theory like holds up well because it's like everything that we suspected as a repackage has a match of has the same match ILN. There's certain caveats which for whatever reason did not match. This is not to say that they aren't repackages. Maybe they had different wax colors or some slightly different variation to it. I'm not sure, but like Paradise Cove and Flannel were not a match even though those smell very similar by nose. Pink Rose and Leather was a match to Rose and Oud by nose but not by ILN. Same with Deep Blue Sea and Midnight Snow. Chocolate Peppermint Cream and Peppermint Hot Chocolate was another one that smelled very similar by nose but not matched by ILN. I always suspected that Leaves and Spice Apple Toddy were the same fragrance, but none of those combinations matched at all on the database. We also suspected that Cinnamon Spice Vanilla and Cinnamon Sugar Donut, actually I don't think that was even on the list. That was a match though, so that puts us at 51. Cinnamon Spice Vanilla and Cinnamon Sugar Donut, I think I might have skipped over that one. No, that was number 28, so I don't know. It's a long list. That was a match. But Spice Vanilla Cupcake, which we suspected was a repackage, was not a match with those. These fragrances are too old that we couldn't look it up, but like Paris Daydream, Sparkling Icicles, and Love Mom Bride Bouquet, which was probably like credit to Little Balladeer, one of the very first OG original candle reviewers. She was the one who kind of like called out repackages as a thing to begin with way back in like 2012, 2013. And like she had a rant about how she couldn't believe that they went from like, you know, Paris Daydream, which is like walking in a rainy Paris, you know, scene, to being Sparkling Icicles, and then repackaging that fragrance as a bright bouquet for Mother's Day. It's like, why would you give your mother like a cologne fragrance for Mother's Day and then try to pass it off as a bright bouquet fragrance? That was like the iconic, like the original like repackaged rant, I think, from like Little Balladeer, but we couldn't confirm that, unfortunately for her, because those fragrances are too old to be in the system. So there was that as well. So yeah, there's some that we can't, like we know that they're repackages by nose, but they're not either in the system or they're not an ILN match. So they might actually not be repackages, or once again, for whatever reason, they assign different ILN to those fragrances. So we couldn't match it via the number, but they could still very well be repackages. Same with like Lavender Marshmallow and Lavender Macaron. We believe those are the same, but Lavender Macaron is not in the system anymore, so we can't compare it by ILN. So that is the exhaustive repackage committee findings video. Thank you so much if you watch all of this. Thank you so much to everybody. It was like anywhere from like 50 to 80 people on my Instagram lives that chimed in and helped like put this list together. Thank you so much to all of you. I wish I could call all of you guys out, but I just kind of like wrote notes for the ones where someone was like, I kind of want credit for this, or like they kind of like, you know, made a note of it. I just wanted to call those people out. So thank you so much to everybody. If we find more matching, you know, ILN combos, I will try to put those in the comments down below. And it's just something fun for us. It's not like, I'm not trying to like shame anybody for not knowing that something's a repackage, because if you're a new BBW fan, like you're not gonna know the entire history of Bath & Body Works in the past 10 years. So I'm not like trying to wag fingers and be like, oh, you got this wrong, or you didn't know that. Like, I don't want to be a candle police in that sense. It's just fun for us OGs who are like detectives or sleuths in this. It's just so validating and so satisfying to finally get some kind of like actual concrete evidence via the Bath & Body Works website, at least our theory that they're a match. So just super exciting. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.